hold on, please.
So this section is being recorded. I just wanted you guys to know. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Am I sharing it?
Yes,
Yes.
you can see your screen.
Okay. Please hold on. By the way, this presentation was a very sharp one. It caught me unaware, so please don't mind the pictures you can see. So career essay, high level overview of what the career essay is Chevening wants to know that the people that they've invested in are going to come back to their country, and then they're not just coming back to their country, but they're coming back to their country with a specific plan, a specific goal, a specific target in mind. And I want you to sort of think of yourself as Chevening, or think of yourself as somebody sitting in the chair of the Chevening community, or committee rather. One of the things they are looking at is, if I'm investing, at least for somebody like me, they invested about 30 something pounds, right? If I'm investing this amount in this person, right, I want this person to prove to me that they can give me a lot of value that's worth this money of investment. So when you're writing your essay, write it with intentionality. It's not just that I just want to build a business. No, I don't just want you to tell me you want to build a business. Well, why do you want to build a business? What revenue are you going to get from the business? How many people are going to reach through the business? So when you are thinking about telling your story in your career essay, or talking about your whole career plan, there has to be some form of, I feel like there's an echo. Somebody's mic is on. Itofa, is that you? Well, I think, yeah, it was you. So there has to be some form of like specificity when you tell your career plan essay. So I'll go to the next slide. So your career plan is typically made up of technically 5 parts, right? And when I say 5 parts, it's, or rather 3 parts, right? Introduction, body, and your conclusion. But your body is divided into 3 parts. You have your short-term, your mid-term, and your long-term essay, which I believe that you all already know. And if you did not know this, you know now that you don't just come here and say, I want to be a doctor and I want to work in the largest hospital in the world. No, you have to tell us short-term, long, mid-term, and long-term. So in crafting your essay, you need to take note that it has to be smart. And I know everybody speaks about the word smart, like what exactly is smart? I think I've mentioned specific. I want to know exactly what you are going to do. However, I understand that there's a limitation of 500 words. So you may be sort of wondering, but if I'm very specific, I'll not have enough words to like express the other things that I want to express. My advice in writing your essay is write your full-blown, if it's 1,000 words that you have inside you, write 1,000 words. Like start with everything that you have inside you. Don't start by already cutting down and trying to reach 500 words, right? You want to ensure that you have like that very detailed essay. That's how I believe you can start. And then when you're super detailed, then you can now start cutting things off and asking yourself, is this really necessary? If I take this line out, would it still tell the same story? Would I still be able to hit that explanatory point that the reader needs to get to? Second thing, it should be measurable. So it's not just, I want to, for instance, feed the poor. No, you cannot feed the entire poor in Nigeria, right? So there has to be a specific target that you have, or a measurable target. Let me not use the word, but a measurable target. So you can say, I want to feed 10% of Benin City's poor population, or something of that sort. So it lets me understand that if as an individual, you understand the like how we can measure the goal that you are setting for yourself. Secondly, it should be achievable. Thirdly, it should be achievable. And achievable in the sense of, I was telling somebody that I cannot graduate from Warwick and tell you that I want to be a president in the next 10 years. It logically does not make sense. It's a good dream, it's a big dream, like, but it is not achievable. And it's not that I'm speaking negatively for people that are Christians and like speaking positively, right? It is that realistically speaking, there's a system in this world. And the system says that you have to maybe go through the Senate, you have to maybe be a senator, be a governor, maybe before you become a president, or you have to at least be in one of these places. In 10 years, the possibility of you achieving that is not, it doesn't make sense. So even that, if that is a goal that you have, putting it in the essay at this time is not achieve, like it's not something that's achievable. Now, relevant in the sense that if we are going to study, I studied international business. So a bit of backstory so that I can sort of explain relevant very well to everybody. I studied civil engineering for my undergrad. I went on to become a product manager. I worked in the agricultural sector. I worked in the logistics sector. And then when I was done, I said, I want to do international business. So you can understand that for someone like me, I really had to convince them that, you see, this work that this international business that I'm learning is very important to the career path that I'm about to forge for myself. So that's something you have to prove to them. You have to tell them that this role that I'm going to get into, if I'm going to be the manager in PwC when I return from my studies, right? It has to be relevant. Like what I've finished learning has to be relevant to the goal or the position that I'm about to occupy, because it's like they've given you a tool. Now tell us how you're going to use that tool to achieve your dream. So it has to be relevant. Last but not the least, it has to be time bound. Technically, by crafting your essays into short, mid-term and long-term goals, you're already like putting a time boundary to yourself. So I think that already covers for it. Now, when I was approaching my essay, because I think the best story I can tell you is my story and not any other person's story. When I was approaching my essay, I had certain questions I had to ask myself for short term, mid term, and long term. By the way, what? Okay. For short term, I needed to ask myself, am I returning to my previous company? And that's something you need to ask yourself, because I don't know where all of you work, but you need to ask yourself, am I returning to this company? Technically, if you're returning to the company, I would say you cannot tell them that you're going to be in the same position that you left before. I'm saying that because if I invested in somebody, personally speaking, if I put 1,000, whatever, they say pounds in somebody's life, I don't expect you to go back to the same place where I left you. I expect that because you have gained something, even if you are returning to the same environment, you are doing something bigger, or you're occupying a role that is maybe higher, or maybe something that's really new within that organization. So you ask yourself, are you returning back to your previous company? I wrote that I was going to return to my previous company. And as at that time, I genuinely wanted to return to my previous company, right? And I told them that I wanted to become a growth product manager. So initially, I was just a product manager in the company, but I wanted to become a growth product manager. The reason was because I had gone to study international business, right? And the whole idea of international business for me was I build products that will stay in Nigeria. I don't just want to build products for market women in Nigeria. If possible, I want to build products for market women in Kenya, market women in Zambia, market women in South Africa. And the thing about scaling products is that you don't just, I know maybe it's for softwares, you almost feel like you can just write, you could just go to Google Play Store and just tick the countries that you want your software to be in. You could possibly route, right? That's a simpler way to maybe go about things. But in every country, there are regulations, there are rules, there are things you need to understand before you enter into a business, or before your business enters into a country. I did not know that. I came from an engineering background, and all I knew how to do was I understood numbers. If the numbers are adding up, they're adding up. They are not adding up, they're not adding up. So I needed to get the international business. And coming back to the company, I did not just want to be a product manager, but I wanted to focus on the into different parts of Africa, which I explained in my story. Now, however, if you have a different pathway than I did, and you say you want to join another company, we need to, I believe in terms of specificity, you need to tell us what's the name of the company you want to join. What role are you looking to get there? Why do you want to be in that company? Right. So these are certain questions you have to ask yourself. Why are you not returning back to where you came from? Why is it that company? What are they doing exactly that you feel like your new skills will be aligned with? Why is that role a good fit for you? And what do you plan to achieve in this role? I know some of the questions are not here, but these are things you need to think about. You need to sit down and ask yourself these questions, because this is one of the essays that nobody can answer for you except you, right? This is something that you have to own. I feel like this is where you are able to sort of shine, because it is your story, it is your dream, it's your own desire. So you get to share it with the reader, the person reading your document. Now, the next place you go to is your midterm goals. For midterm, some people decide to switch companies. I know in this day and generation, a lot of people believe that the fastest way to increase their salary is to move from company A to company B, which is absolutely true in most cases, right? However, you may work in a maybe you're already working in multinational, and for you is that I don't want to leave a multinational. Let's say, for instance, you're already working in Google. I'll tell you that's what you come to when you are done with your study here, and your midterm plan won't be. Your midterm plan may not be, I want to move to another company. It may be that I now want to be director of, let me not say directorship, but like maybe manager of the western part of Nigeria, right? For Google stores or Google something, right? Maybe that's something you now want to become. So you also need to ask yourself, am I growing within the same company? If you are growing within the same company, what role do you want to occupy? How do you plan to like achieve whatever goals that you have there? In case I made any typo error in this document, please forgive it. I was sort of rushing. So yeah, so you ask yourself questions, and then if you are leaving the company, you sort of need to ask yourself, why are you leaving the company? Now, in my case, I did not plan when I wrote my midterm plan. I had no intention of staying in the same company. I told them that I wanted to move to Amazon, right? So I was working with a logistics company as a product manager. I wanted to be the growth product manager, stay there for a couple of years, help them achieve their goals, yada, yada, yada. When I was done there, I wanted to work with Amazon. And I explained to them that the reason I'm making the switch is because I need global experience. Excuse me, give me a moment. So it is one thing to work in a Nigerian company, and it's another thing to work with a global company. And if I studied international business and I come back to work for a local company, yes, I know that we scale to another place. But if you've ever worked for any multinational, you understand that their processes are just amazing. You wonder how you order something on Amazon and it gets shipped to you the next day because you paid for Amazon Prime, right? You wonder how they're able to get it from the person that their store is far away, or I don't know. But you wonder how the entire system works. It's still amazing how Amazon is the top performer in terms of delivery and all of this e-market kind of thing, and in fact, the entire portfolio. So for me, I wanted to have that experience, and that's what I told them in my essay. Like, I'm switching companies for this reason. I also told them the role I would like to occupy. Now, the role has to also be a realistic role, a role that actually does exist. Because let's say, peradventure, I'm your reader and I'm just like, oh, let me just scrutinize this essay more. Let me check if this kind of role exists in this company. I want to know that the person that I'm reading their essay, they've done their own research, and I can see that these roles sort of exist, right? So always also have that in mind, right? So research the roles in the new companies or maybe within the same organizations that you want to occupy. And now talk about what I usually do for my midterm role is that I talk about how my experiences in my previous role, or the experiences I believe I'll gain in my previous role, will feed into this next place. Because whatever you do in your past or whatever you are doing now is a seed for your next phase of life. So there's no need talking about, I'm not saying there's no need talking about new knowledge, but like, talk about new knowledge, but understand that new knowledge came because you were somewhere before. So in my head, I felt like, because I would understand the Nigerian logistics system so much, if Amazon were to come to Nigeria, which I believed that they were going to come to Nigeria as at that time, I would already have like understanding of the system, connections with people in the system, so that when they came into the country and I worked for them, I'm going to help the business move further. I hope this is making sense. So that's what I did for my midterm. Now for long term, is like very similar questions you ask yourself, like in terms of midterm. I don't know if maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, I don't know how long. I think long term is usually 5 to 10 years, or maybe 7 to 10 years thereabout. But the point is that after at least 6 years of you working, what is that very long term plan that you have, right? In this question, I'll say dream big. My long term plan, as funny as it is, I looked at my essay today and I realized that I wrote 2 lines for my long term plan. Please don't ask me how I did it. I literally just wrote, for my long term plan, I want to build what's called a consulting business, because I want to help small businesses in Africa. Is there somebody raised their hand? I looked at that essay and I'm still looking, like, I'm wondering why they did it. Please don't be like me, right? But the point of long-term plan is that it has to be something that when I look at what you've done in the short term, what you've done in the midterm, I can say, you know what? I think this is realistic. I think she can actually start a business. starting a consulting business is it's not so difficult. I believe so. You just need a group of smart people around you, hire them, pay them a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money, beg your friends to come. But the point was that I wanted to build a consulting firm, and that's what I told them. So whatever you are doing in your long term, look at what you've written in your short and medium term, and ask yourself, with the experiences I have gained here, can I realistically occupy this position or achieve this goal? If you look at both of them, and after you wait, it's not realistic enough, I beg you, I know you may still have that dream, but when you're writing your essay, don't put it there. I say that because the first impression that people get of you when they read your essay is everything written in your essay. If you write what does not make sense, they're going to keep your essay aside and pick the next person that it makes sense for them, because they're not meeting you. So you should understand that this is literally the only CV that you get to share. This is your first impression that they get to see of who you are, right? So please make it realistic, and also ask people around you, or maybe also check the path of people that have maybe done something similar to you. That's another way to go about things, right?
Then call kwanza.
Hello, who's that? Is somebody there?
You
Okay.
possibly were saying something that we can't understand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, go on.
All right. So, hey, where's the page I was on? Yeah. All right. So, for your long-term plan. I think I've already spoken about it, but just make sure it is realistic. I feel like this is one of the places where your goal has to be achievable, because people say dream big, and sometimes it can become very challenging. You tell me to dream big, why am I not allowed to dream this big? And because it's not realistic for us in this world. So please do something realistic for us. So, and I'll try to answer. So my long-term plan, although I used 2 lines to write my long-term plan, which is quite ridiculous. What I did during my interview was that I threw more light. I shed more lights. I about how I plan to achieve my long-term plan. So if you're like me and you're fortunate enough, you do what I did, I don't advise you to do it, and you get to your interview stage, that will be the time that you can maybe now tell them all the things you were planning to do that you couldn't literally write on your essay before submitting it. So that's what I did. So from the advice, so I went to the website, because I'm not Chevening, I'm just a beneficiary for good graces. So I went to the website to find out their own advice, and this was the advice from the readers, committee of leaders. So they said the strongest essay or strongest responses tend to be based on an outline of specific concrete goals, which usually therefore seem more convincing and achievable. Your point in writing this essay is that you need to convince somebody. I don't know if you've ever watched a movie and you just feel like these people, you could have written this script better. Like there's just a way that made me enjoy it better, right? Because it does not just make sense. Or if you've watched Indian movies, sorry, I hope there's no Indian here, but if you watch Indian movies and they shoot a person, you see the whole drama that happens before the bullet finally gets to the person. They will not now die. They may now dance in between. It's not realistic, right? It just makes you angry when you are watching the movie. Like, can we skip to the good part already? Same thing. Write something that's realistic. Nobody wants to read an unrealistic essay. Now, what were the weak things? I'll try not to read exactly what's there, but the first one is that a couple of people did not give strong rationale behind their career path. So you may have a very good career path. Once again, you need to convince these people. Why have you gone to this path, and how does Chevening play a role in this path? The next thing is that some people said they wanted to do PhD, and according to them here, technically they have no problem with you saying you want to do PhD, but just know that if you write PhD there, you really tell them why they should fund, or not necessarily fund you, like why they should fund you and then go and do PhD again. At what point will you start giving? So that your PhD maybe really has to be something that is very impactful, maybe something that is tied to what the UK government is doing in Nigeria. And you believe that you can just make a breakthrough if you work with one professor in Cambridge University. So it really has to be very convincing. Last thing is that career plans were poorly developed. So I think it's that thing of 500 word limit. you want to write 500 words, so you end up writing, like removing the main details from it. And that's why I say write everything you have and then start cutting things out. Then you are able to see what is relevant and what's not relevant within your essay. But this was advice from the website. One of the frequently asked questions I think I have gotten in this area, especially when people reach out to me, is that, do I have to talk about what UK is doing in Nigeria? Yes, you should. Once again, if I was giving you money and I tell you that I'm funding you because I have a business and I need you to come back and help me sort of work on this business, right? Or I have a business, I don't know, partnership with a company, and I need you to go and learn something and come back to ensure that this partnership still works. Like, somehow, if you're writing an essay to me and I cannot see how you are going to help me, Chevening wants to know that you will help them. It is scratch my back, I scratch your back. That's how this works. So yes, you have to. What I would say though is that for my own case, the projects that were present at that time did not have like anything that was sort of related to what I was doing. And I could not, one second, let me just drink water, please. So the projects that they were doing, that's the, not aligned with what I wanted to do, right? So I had to go to their past project. However, in searching for their past project, I looked for something that the organization is still alive. They are still doing things in it. And that was, I think that was UK Tech Hub or something of that sort. That was the platform I said I was going to work with. So please try and pick up that project. I may say, okay, Odera, what if I don't find a project? My advice to you would be, try and relate it to maybe not a project, but maybe an initiative that the UK is really, right? And I think that's where the UN SDGs come in, right? So it might not be a direct project that they have with Nigeria, but everybody in this UK cares about the UN SDGs. They care about it one way, shape, or form. They are doing it in one way, shape, or form, somewhere, somehow. So it may not be a particular project, but it may just be that by the time you are done, or whatever you're doing in your career sort of helps you or is in line with an SDG goal that they have. So I guess that's why people say you can use an SDG goal, or then can use like an actual project that they are working on. So I dropped some links here, but I don't even know how I'm going to get it to the crowd. But I guess maybe I can drop it when Itofa is presenting. I could drop it in the chat box. But some of them, one of the, like the fourth one is the FCD ODev tracker. So some people use it. I did not exactly use it like that, but maybe you can use it to check for projects that the UK is doing in Nigeria. And then there are also some articles that you can like literally see on their website that may help you, give you ideas on maybe how you can write your essays. Yeah. Okay, so I thought I was going to write immediately after, and I think I've spent such a short time. Apologies, but this is all I have to say. So before we write, I guess some people will be feeling like, oh my God, I have to write again. And some people will be like, oh yes, finally, I'm going to write. Like some people are excited, some people are just really anxious. And no matter like whatever category you fall into, it's fine. Your emotions are valid. I personally, I don't like writing. I did not like it. And I tried for Chevening 3 times. The first 2 times, I just answered the question as I saw it. The first time I did not check any internet or any platform for any help. I just answered the question as I thought it pleased me, right? And of course, I did not get it. So yeah. So for you, you are one step ahead. What you are doing differently is that you are deciding that, oh, I have a group of Cheveners that can help me write the essay. So if you're anxious, please don't be anxious. If you're happy, I'm glad that you're happy. I wish you could exchange the energy with your anxious friends, but unfortunately, we cannot do that. We're not in the same physical room. But the point is, I am really hoping that the writing session helps some people. And even if it does not help you, like Martins has said, you would also have like your own mentors who can now put you through in areas where you're really struggling, because I know that all of us really have like very different career paths, and some of what I shared may not entirely fit with what you are going through or what you want to do. So just in case you fall into that category, I think your mentor may be able to like shed a bit more light to help you and direct to you. So I'll stop sharing now. I hope this is good. I know it wasn't so long, but yeah, this is what I have. Thank you guys. Martins, where are you? Osato? Okay, sorry. Itofa, you're next. Sorry. I thought they were going to.
Do I come up? Do I come up now?
Great, you can go.
Oh, great. Martins, you're such a comedian to that. All right, a very, very good evening, everyone. And I hope you guys are doing pretty good. Odera, that was really fantastic. It took me back in time, like when we're prepping for this application process. Really, really good one. So guys, my name is Itofa, and I'm currently studying international development. So I'm just going to walk you through the networking part. And the reason that, hey, Andrew, my brother, how are you doing, sir? And the reason why I'm excited to share this part with you is because I'm going to tell you guys real anecdotal stories, why it's really critical that you hit the hammer on the head, especially in this area of your networking and shared learning experience. Right, I'm just going to share my slide now. Okay, looks like my what's going on? Windows. I don't know what's happening.
You want to send the slides to me?
Yeah, I did email it. I emailed it to Osato, so maybe if she could check her email.
Okay.
Yeah. While we're waiting for that, I'll tell you guys the importance of this part that I'm about to take. So, in a couple of months back, I was invited to London because I volunteer with an organization here, and they wanted to do a policy design for child malnutrition and child wasting. And I was one of two Black people in a room filled with white elderly people who were designing the solutions for child malnutrition and child wasting for Nigeria, right? So why this networking is so important is because the requisite skills and tools you need to communicate inside your presentation are the things I'm going to share with you, because just like Odera said, when you're writing, at this point, you don't have an invitation to come for an interview. So what you're offering to these people is a presentation that says, look, I'm a worthy candidate. If you guys invest 40K in me, 100K in me, I promise you it will change my life forever. So you want to ensure that you put your best foot forward. So while we're waiting for the slides, the relationship part and shared learning is looking for people who are not just opportunists who want to explore and take over the Chevening opportunity. If you meet all the Chevening scholars, the strategy Chevening is using is, are you a leader that's investable? If we invest in you, how will the ROI or the return on this investment impact the country you're from? Whether you're from Kenya, you're from China, you're from India, you're from South Africa, how will this impact the country that you're in? Thank you very much, Martins. So how will this impact the country that you're a part of? So my talk today is called Chevening Relationship and Shared Learning Essay. That's like pretty much the networking part. Next slide. So when you talk about the networking parts, they are looking for three fundamental things. Number one, your ability to be able to identify opportunities and convert those opportunities into assets, ideas, tangible things that you can touch, especially that could transform your community. That's number one. Number two, your ability to also build relational bridges, intentional relational bridges that you can convert to the previous thing I just said. And then number three, your ability to look for loopholes in relationships and build solutions out of those loopholes. So I'll tell you guys real case studies as we go on. So in your networking essay, you want to ensure that you're answering these three questions. I remember the very first draft for my networking essay I wrote. I just thought, oh, I met this lady, her name is XYZ. I met her, she lived in China, I lived in Nigeria. We connected here. It was great. After we connected, the dream was to change the world. If I get selected for this scholarship, I'm going to connect with the 50,000 cohort and we'll change the world together. Bro, you're not serious. There are like 10,000 other people who are going to tell you that they met Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala when they attended the World Economic Forum in South Africa. There are people that will tell you Charles, Charles was, we did the same interview together. Charles had just come back from Switzerland. We applied for the same scholarship. He was returning from Switzerland, a UNESCO funded project. What would make them pick you over somebody who's coming from Switzerland, who is also applying for the same scholarship? So you need to realize the veracity and the how powerful this thing that you're competing for. You have friends who are in America. I mean, look, we're Americans. Our friend Marshall is for the US, but you have people in different countries who are going to be applying, and there are people who have gone to the World Economic Forum. There are people who have interned at the United Nations. You have people who are working on policy research as students in University of Oxford from their country, and they're applying for the same scholarship. So what are you going to write that will cause you to stand out? That's the point of reference I need you to look at from. So you need to look at the most valued relationships you have harnessed, right? So I gave a case study of Charles. I had seen Charles on LinkedIn talking about the work he was doing in Switzerland. He had just returned from Switzerland. I said, you are coming for interview too, bro. What are the chances that we have? I have not even left Nigeria. You are coming. But I mean, on a lighter note, but the idea is that you need to realize that when you're approaching this, you want to approach it with that level of heavy intensity. Don't just say, I met Andre, I met Martins, I met John. Oh, John was a great guy. We connected, we had dinner together. And from the dinner, his mother almost died, but I helped them. And now the mother has been saved. All of those stories do not hold water. The strategy is that connect your stories to your career trajectory. So if Odera, for instance, is doing international business and I want to do something in probably, let's say, global business and policy design or global business analysis, maybe that's what I want to study. Oh, I met Odera at this conference. It was called the More Women Conference in Lagos. And Odera spoke on this topic where she highlighted the historical perspective on mutual bilateral relationship between China and Nigeria. And that piqued my interest. And my master's is focused on global policy, global business analysis, because understanding the historical perspective with China and Nigeria's bilateral aid agreement, it gives me an opportunity to learn. And so I connected with Odera. We had lunch, or we grabbed coffee together, or I wrote to her on LinkedIn. We got on a call and she gave me some sort of career advisory that put me on this career trajectory. And now that experience has enabled me to pursue a master's or begin the application for a master's in global business analysis at the. So I'm going to read out the three important things you need to look out for when you're, when it comes to your networking, right? First one is, how resourceful am I identifying opportunities? So in your networking, right, you need to ask yourself, all the relationships that I have, all the people's phone number I have on my phone, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, who are the top 3 people? Now, these things I'm giving you is not like it's Chevening's idea that it has to be 3 people. I'm just sharing what worked for me. Maybe Odera used 5 people, 10 people, I don't know. I used 3 people. Who are the top 3 people right now on my contact radar that I have proximity to, that by access to them, it's drawn me closer to this career opportunity I'm about to pursue, right? Don't say you met Wizkid when you're not going to study music. That doesn't create any impact in your, they'll just, whoever I just said, this is a very funny young man, will you go back and come back next year? So you want to attack it with anger. Sit down. Who are the top 3 people right now in my life that, okay, I want to do global business analysis. Okay, there's this conference I attended. There was a guy who spoke about business supply chain marketing and PR, the future of AI, how AI impacts business. Okay, I met the guy, even though it was only a picture we took. Can I, how do I link this story into my essay? So that's how you want to be very, very intentional. You tie and weave the story so that the people you met connects to where you're trying to go to. That's number 1. So you identify opportunities. Second one is your ability to extend relational invitation, right? So you what's the most hypothetical one? We had this conversation right now, and somebody here again, global business analysis. I mean, this other, she mentioned University of Warwick, most expensive school in Omo. I'm going to link up with this lady. So your ability to convert this virtual conference that you just had, you built a sort of relationship from it. Chibi wants to see that pro thinking mindset, because I'm going to piggyback all these experiences to my story that I had in London. You are going to need it when the tire or the rubber hits the road. You won't come to a room and you are shy. You're a Chevening scholar. Do you know what that means? You are a weapon of mass destruction. You can enter a country and turn it upside down. That's how much. Yes, that's how heavy this title you have. That's why 140,000 people can apply and they'll take only 1,000 people. Do you know, for you to be on that 1,000 list, that means that you are heavy. You can enter a country, you will turn it upside down, except you don't believe it. If you don't believe it, you're not supposed to be on this call in the first place. Throw me right now to Afghanistan. Say, go and advise the government. Martins, meet me in another 1 year, and you will see the revolution that's happening in Afghanistan. That's the mindset, because God help you that you make it to interview stage. When you enter that room and they're asking you, tell us your plan, you're now saying, by the grace of God, I have a plan that the world will be better. I just believe God that, one way or another, my brother, you are going to walk back, you enter bus back to your house. So you come into that room and say, I'm Itofa Odera. Yes, so I only just have passport, no visa on my passport, but I'm a global disruptor. So Itofa, tell us about why should we give you Chevening? If people don't give me, you have missed already. That's the sort of energy you want to come into the room. You've missed already, because whether you give me or not, you will still see me on the headlines. So you want to be able to say, oh, that's one of our Chevening scholar in XYZ year, and so we're doing X. So I'm just okay. Extend relational invitation. The last one, the skills I have to good. Now you've made all this you've built all this relationship, you've connected with all these people. How do you convert that thing? Some of you just have important people's number on your phone. And when I say important people number on your phone, I'm not talking of what's it called? Celebrities or people. I'm talking of your everyday people that it looks like they have their number 6 walking upstairs. Very few people have their number 6 walking upstairs, right? Those people, if you have their number on your phone, how have you converted those things? Some of you admire certain people on LinkedIn, and they're in the same city as you are. You've never said, my chairman, can we grab coffee together? Let's even just have conversation. Or let's say coffee is expensive. We grab our car and break together, my brother. Let's have conversation. She wants to see that proactive mindset, that proactivity in you. So, because why invest 100,000 or 50,000 in your life and you just sit there in your room from January to December? You've not done anything significant. Martins, who is organizing this call, he's a human-centered design expert. Do you know what that means? The sort of stuff he has done at the London School of Tropical Health and Medicine. That's a machine of mass destruction talking to you people. I'm talking to you. He's a bazooka, I'm sorry, guys. Now let's talk about strategy. So strategy. So now you have to tell stories. Carry your reader through an intentional journey of how you manage and handle relational experiences. So don't just type, that's why the people who usually get selected are people who are readers. If you're a good if you read very well, it's easy for you to write. Readers make good writer, but that again, it doesn't disregard anybody on this call who I'll be back, Martins. That trip I made, I'm coming back to London, right? That's I've lost my train of thought, Martins. Tell stories. Carry your reader through an intentional journey. Don't just write a monotonous style. Be creative. What I'm going to do today is, if Odera wants to write, I'm going to read my own essay for you guys. But if you copy me, just so you know, they have my draft, you won't get it. So you say, Itofa dropped his draft, I will copy. Sorry for you. That's one person out of Chevening scholarship already. God bless you. So let it inspire your creative writing process, but don't dub it. I'm going to read my own slowly to you and use that to juxtapose my flow of thought. So tell stories, right? Then show data. So a case study for me was I worked with Fela Durotoi in Nigeria. When I was in Nigeria, I worked as an intern with him. And I came off from a conference like this. After the conference, I wrote to the PR and communications team. I want to work with you guys. I have great knack for marketing, communications, and PR. I'd like to volunteer in your team. And they said, oh, really? Fantastic. They set up a meeting for me with me and Fela Durotoi. I got on the call with Fela Durotoi. They gave me task and responsibility. So I was helping with marketing, helping with content, helping with writing and preview and stuff like that. From that point on, they saw how effective I was. I went from being a guy behind the scenes to now training. I became a facilitator at the company, Gemstone Leadership Institute. I was training people as well on non-profit consulting, non-profit management, non-profit leadership, from just an intern guy typing back into, so I went from, so I said this to Chevening, look, you guys, I'm such a powerful asset that I went from being behind the scene as a reputable company to coming in front to training over 150 leaders in the company. So I showed them numbers. I know I didn't just train people. I trained 150 people, right? Then I said, be intentional, write like a pro. Look out for the top 3 events in your life where you have maximized relationships and use them to sell your idea. So the strategy here is very simple. The first one I said is, where are you trying to go to? For me, it was international development and management. I wanted to work at the highest echelon with donor agencies like UNDP, Oxfam, Watoto Foundation, Save the Children. I wanted to work at those levels, right? So that's where I was trying to go to. So all the stories I told were stories that would show these skills. So my training and facilitation were things I learned about non-profit management and leadership. I need it in all this space I'm going to in international development. So I connected all those things, skills in research, skills in facilitation, communication and training, skills in fundraising, where we raised, through partnership, we raised $1,000 for a water project in Benue State, Nigeria. I put all those numbers and details together and I communicated it in my essay. And to the glory of God, I'm done with my master's now by his grace, right? So it's important that don't just, if you're on this call, the 69 people on this call, if you are just excited about the idea of jackbarring from Nigeria, you are already disqualified. You will not be selected. That's the truth. The people who are going to be selected, when you sit down and have conversations with them, they know what they want. So if you are here hoping that Chevening will just take you and you just jabs, my brother, you better go and fry egg tonight and eat some bread because you will not make it. Now, I'm not saying that to discourage anybody. I'm saying that to let you know that everybody you see that has gotten the scholarship, they prepared. For me, I took 1 whole year. I knew that I was going to apply next year. I took 1 year to prepare. 1 whole year. Odera told you 3 times. 3 times. So everybody you see that got it, because when the people reading your essay, they're experts, they've been on it. I got it on my first attempt, right? But the people who are going to read it, they've read essays, so they already know where you are going to already. Like they know, this one is not serious. Move. For me, 1 year. So that 1 year, I was monitoring the website. I was monitoring their social media. I was watching videos. I was basically I had the draft question on my computer, right? Because it's the same question every year. I had it on my computer. I was just meditating on it till the time it was ready to be released. So I just said, okay, it's time for us to launch out into the deep. So without further ado, as I wrap up my statement, I can't wrap up without encouraging you guys. It's part of my unique selling point. So at 7 o'clock, I'll hand over to Odera, and then we'll run again to get to 8 p.m. to continue. Again, I say this. Attitude is everything. You need to believe that you can get it. If you're listening to me now, you're already feeling intimidated, overwhelmed. You are not ready. You are not ready. So go back and ask yourself, okay, what's my journey? Some of you are not supposed to be coming to the UK. You are supposed to be going to the US, and there are scholarships for it. Some of you are not supposed to be going to anything in the America or the West. You're supposed to be in China. Go to China. There are scholarships in China. There are scholarships in Finland, Estonia. That's so ask yourself, what is my objective really? If you answer that question, what your objective is, look, when you enter, you say, welcome, ma, welcome, sir. We don't need to interview you. You've gotten it already, right? Last story. When I got into the room, I told you people, I'm a weapon of mass destruction in a positive light. I disrupt economies by the power of the Holy Ghost, even on my inside, right? When I entered the room, right, I didn't do any interview. It was conversational because I had already answered the question of why is this important for me? Why do I need this scholarship? All of those things, I knew what. So I wasn't throwing a pity party. So my interview didn't take up to 10 minutes. It was conversational, and the lady was, Itofa, you made our job so easy. That's what they told me at the room, right? So please, I said that to just encourage somebody. Some of you are feeling what I'm saying right now. Your baby's leaping in your womb. So let's get out there and change the world. Odera, over to you.
Wow. I am in awe. I don't know if I can continue from here. I usually don't want to enter. Well, yeah, this was really good. Martins, do you want to say something before we get into it?
What do I say? Let's grab more in London.
Oh my goodness. But really, everyone, I really hope that this has encouraged you. One thing that Itofa had pointed out that really makes a lot of sense is find out if Chevening is for you. Because it's a lot of, it might just seem like 500 words, but it's going to be a year of pressure. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. That's what happens. Because when you submit in November, you will wait. Then February, when people are doing Valentine's Day or Valentine, when we're in love, you'll be waiting for another kind of letter and be hoping that your letter is really going to make you happy, because some letters will make you cry. And then after that, you now wait again before your interview date. Then you wait again to see if you've been selected. So it's literally an entire journey. So you need to tell yourself, like, am I on the right path? Ask yourself, am I on the right path? So for writing, like I told you, I don't like writing. When they told me I had to do demo writing here, I'm like, what? How can I write on the go when I don't even like writing? So I would try to do something, but I'll do it based on what I had done initially.
So just to be sure, do you need me to help you type while you're at it?
I don't think so. Let me try typing. If it is too stressful,
Okay.
then I would let you type.
Okay, great, cool.
So hold on.
I want to keep sharing, or you want to share your screen instead?
No, you keep sharing because I would like to navigate through my past and present essays, and I don't want to.
Okay.
Although I may still share similar things anyway.
Cool.
Okay, I think my introduction is something I could really just copy and share like that, and I'll sort of explain why my introduction is the way it is. Hold up. Where is the screen? Okay, so first of all, before I did my introduction, I wanted something that would let the reader know that this is where this person is going to. This is what their plan is. It was almost like an introduction. I don't know how else to say, but it was an introduction. And I'm going to, so I had a background at that point of logistics, product management in logistics. And if you're aware of anything about logistics in the entire Nigeria or in entire Africa, is that we're trying to make trade and logistics really smooth in Africa. And there was something called the after. Sorry, please let me check what it was as at that time. It's called the AFCFTA agreement. That's the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Now, this agreement that they had, for me, it was very important to my role, beyond Chevening, honestly. Something I was personally looking forward to as a product manager, because I just felt like once they signed this document, I would stop hearing, the container is stuck in Zanzibar or something, or the container is stuck somewhere, because that's kind of goods I was dealing with in terms of my product management work. So this was a very essential thing for me, right? So for my introduction, this is what I had written. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm just wondering how I came about it. But I wanted them to understand that Africa has like a very large market, right? And I personally wanted to harness the strength of that market as a product manager. And I believe that there was going to be a lot of potential within that market, right? So this is what I had written for my first paragraph. So everybody, depending on what you are going to write for your introduction, I don't have like a best practice for introduction. The only thing I would say though is please do not define anything for them in your introduction. I personally think it's a waste of space, because if I sent you a document, I don't need you to define what the document is about. So please try to avoid definitions is what I would advise, because you need more space for your words. Now for short-term plan, so what I did was, upon, oh no, this is bold. So upon completion of of my master's degree, I would like, I don't know, so the English might not be very professional, so please bear with me, but at least you get the whole idea. I would return to my previous company. And I think at that time I put let me just try something logistics as a growth product manager. Right. Now I did, when you are starting a paragraph, because these people are reading a lot of essays, you really want to sort of, when they are reading your first paragraph, they should know what you're about to talk about, right? So it's always good to sort of let them know at the get-go. Don't try to tell stories and then at the end you now say, I will return back, right? But start with, this is what I want to do, this is how it is, right? This is the role, this is the company, and I want to return as a good product manager. The next thing I did was, hold on, let me see. Okay. As a, just whatever I write, please be honest, as the product manager, as the manager, I want to leverage my skills in international. Guys, this is very hard. Martin, how do you usually do it? Not the typing, the thinking on the spot. Hold on. I want to, as a product manager, I want to leverage my skills in international business to guys, is this the way it's supposed to go? Or am I missing something? Let me see. As I want to leverage my skills in international business so that I can scale. I know this is not professional English, like I said. Something logistics into 3 African countries by, I think that time I thought I was finished by now. It take me about 3 years each. So I think it was 20 plus 3, 2028, by 2028. And I think I also listed the the African countries that I wanted to scale to by 2028. Let me see. To achieve this, I will leverage. Actually, now that I look at this, the essay that I wrote, I'm just wondering how it made sense. Well, I guess that time it did make sense. I would leverage the AFCT. I think I've gone AFCTA. This is wrong, but yeah, agreement, which ensures the smooth oh, guys, this is hard. Okay, sorry. Which aims to reduce barriers and increase. Okay. Okay. Which aims to reduce trade barriers and increase. So after I had gotten to this point, I think in my head I had already told them I want to be a good product manager. I want to scale into 3 countries. And the reason why this is, I believe, is possible is because there's this agreement that exists that should be signed by the time I return back to the country, right? And this agreement is very nice. And it's still a really nice agreement because based on what they were going to say, it was going to increase like the exports, the cargo volumes. And for the business that I was in, we needed enough cargo volumes to come into the country. The more cargo volumes that came into the country, the more money we made. And the more locations we're in, the more profits we're also able to make. It was like diversifying your risk. So it's not just Nigeria you're relying on for money. You want to rely on other countries. So the next thing I went to say is, this one I'm going to copy it because this is tougher than I thought. So I had written, based on my research, cargo owners in Ghana, Kenya, blah, 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 have issues regarding poor container visibilities from pickup location to delivery location. And I want to address this issue by creating a viable solution. So another thing I needed to sort of explain here in this line is the issue that my company was solving through the platform that we had was that we're ensuring that cargoes that landed in the ports got to the warehouse or got to their owners early. And by cargo, I mean those big containers, those 40-foot or 20-foot containers that you see on the express that's causing wahala, those containers. And based on my research, I realized that it was not just in Nigeria this was happening. It was literally happening everywhere in Africa. So I told them that I had researched on all of these countries. The reason I did not, I let them know that like I was researching on 5, because really in reality, before you get into any country, right, you have a list of countries. You don't just have 3 and that's all you do. No, you do research on like a couple of them. So once again, I wanted to make them know that I was sort of taking a realistic approach on how I was selecting this country of my desire or something like that. Then hold on. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry, a few seconds. So the next thing I told them was that based on research, I would need to validate my findings. And to validate my findings, after my research, I plan to validate my findings. The findings from, I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but I'm going to type it anyhow and sort of explain to you what I was trying to say. Customer feedback, surveys. So here I was pretty much saying, okay, I based on this, I've identified that there's a problem in these 5 countries. The next thing I want to do is that I don't just want to know that there's a problem, you validate. That's how you do research. You research, you validate that this thing that you're talking about is an actual problem. And I wanted to do it through customer surveys. Now, the next thing I went on to is that because I knew that at this point, in reality, I actually don't have skills that will help me do this. I now went on to add that I would apply. Now that I'm looking at this essay, they're very amazing. So I told them I'll apply the skills that I gained from International Business Strategy module to critically assess our business competitors, impacts of culture, and all of those things, right? So I wanted to bring back, one thing I tried to do in this paragraph was that I did not just want to have a short-term plan, but I wanted to have a short-term plan that sort of let them know that this module that I learned, which I had already researched on, I already researched on, I would apply it in building a solution for how will I put it, for the organization or for the entire logistic line. So that's exactly what I did here. Literally, this is like a sketch of what my first paragraph looked like. Now, my second paragraph, which I cannot be stressed to overwrite, because like I've come to understand that if you use exactly what I used, you would actually just put yourself in a lot of trouble. But my second paragraph was very short also. So let me Control Z this. I'll just remove this from the board. So after 2 years of working at, I did not check this thing there. After working at this logistic place, I plan to work in Amazon, blah, 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 as a senior product manager, specializing in growth and marketing. Once again, specificity. Because they need to know that you know where you are going to. They're not going to forge the path for you. So in terms of being specific, I told them that I wanted to go into this place. I told them what I admire about Amazon, how they stay customer centric, and how I plan to continue to build solutions in the African space. I think one of the reasons I was very heavy on Africa is that in reality, if you study the course I study, every single business, every time they told our class to write a business plan and scale a business idea that they had, every single person thought about Africa. If it was not Africa, it was going to be India. And you had to pick a country in Africa to maybe be Kenya, South Africa, or Nigeria. So my point was that I did not want to go to Amazon America. They are already sorted. They have everything they need. I wanted to build the ecosystem for Amazon Africa. So I also explain that what I gained in my postgraduate degree would also help me here. I know I had mentioned that you should mention the skills in your previous role that can help you in the second place. So another way I could have gone with it was saying that the things I learned after being in something logistics for this period of time is something I can apply in my as an Amazon senior product manager or something of that sort. Now to the next part, which was my third paragraph. This place, I don't know, I'm quite sketchy about what I want to share here, because although I know this is copyable, and now there's what's the name, all these AI tools. So I'm not going to share this part, but I'm going to explain it to you what the paragraph was about. So in my third paragraph, I was torn between talking about my actual long-term plan and what I wanted to do to help the UK government. There was not enough space in my essay. Something had to give. And for me, long-term plan had to give, because no matter how much I thought about it at that time, there's only so much concrete planning I can do for my long-term plan. So for long-term plan, I had written that I would, Martin, this is where I will need you as your fast typing.
Let's just specify a long-term plan, yeah? Yeah,
so for long-term plan, no, you don't have to falsify it, but I can sort of give you
that's fine.
A sketch of what I had done. Yeah, so my long-term plan is, okay, let's talk about my consulting, because I actually want to do consulting long-term. So my long-term plan is to become a consultant, right? Or to own a consulting firm, to build a consulting firm in Nigeria. And my thought behind this was that consulting firm in Nigeria, to help small, medium enterprises, so SMEs. That was my goal, to help SMEs.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that, to support SMEs. And I plan, the reason I have chosen this is because at that time, should I explain it instead of writing it? Okay, explaining me.
You can just explain it, and I will try to make sense of what you're saying.
Okay. So I wanted to help SMEs at that time because I felt like, hold on, backtrack. There's a part of this thing that is missing, and that's why my story is very unique to me. While I'm doing my midterm plan and my short-term plan, I plan to work with the UK tech hub in Nigeria.
Yep.
And the thing about working with them is that, or volunteering with them, is that you get to work with small businesses. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. So because I knew that I wanted to work with this UK tech hub, I felt like I was going to be building experience outside of my Amazon job or my something logistics job. Therefore, if I had that experience and if I met amazing people while working with the UK in tech hub in Nigeria, right, I can build a community, I can build a company that's focused on consulting. Consulting, because there are a lot of small businesses in Nigeria. And to be fair, small businesses are the ones that employ the largest population of Nigerians. But a lot of time, they never become multinationals. I personally have a problem with that. Like, how can we have businesses that never become multinationals when it's not like we don't have sense in Nigeria? So, and I think at that time, I just felt like what Nigerians were missing was the skills to know how to do business. Instead of just copying what the white man has done or the Western world has done and bringing it to Nigeria, I felt like they were copying instead of sort of creating their own solution. So if I had that consulting firm, what I wanted to do was make sure that the solutions that I was offering to small businesses were realistic solutions for our kind of economy. I once heard somebody, Vusi, say, sorry, Martins, I'm moving around this particular area. Like, I'm
No,
not.
it's fine. I'm picking out what you're saying.
Yes. So I'd heard from somebody, his name is Vusi, and he had said that the problem that Africa has generally is that we copy the Western solutions for an African problem, right? So a lot of people, I don't know how many people are product managers on this platform, but one of the buzzwords I feel like was going on before I left Nigeria was product management, product management, product management. And after coming to this country, I realized that product management is not the solution. I'm not saying it's bad to be a product manager. I'm not saying it's bad to build products. It's just that fundamentally, product management is not a solution to our problem. Being a product manager is a buzzword that is fit for a Western community. For us, we need more engineers in Nigeria. That should be the buzzword. Building amazing structures, fixing roads, because that's where we are, like in our country. But what you're hearing is product management. And that's not to say that stop being a product manager and go and become an engineer. My point is that my consulting firm was going to help small businesses solve their problem, not solve what they felt like it was. Solve, I don't know, whatever it was anyway. That was the plan as at that time. Right. Do I have any other things to add? Let me let Itofa do his so that we can have questions towards the end. But I hope you sort of get what I'm saying. I know that I couldn't sort of add the middle part where I talked about working with UK Tech Hub, whatever. I didn't put that because I think that one can actually be copied, right? It is not my story. It's just something I want to do, and I don't want anybody to copy that bit. So I hope this helped somebody. I know it was kind of rushed. Yeah.
So we can just go over the top, right, from the beginning, so it makes sense, right? If we zoom into the prompt, thank you very much. It's very complex thinking on the spot and writing at the same time. It's not funny. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the prompt we have here is that Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan, right? That's the first prompt. And then they are asking you in the same prompt to outline your immediate plans. Emphasis on the word immediate. Guys, remember the analysis of prompts that we've been talking about. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Analysis of prompt that we've been talking about. So immediate plans upon return, right? Then your longer term plans. So this is a bit fluid, and they said in your longer term plans, you may wish to consider. So in your longer term plans, you may wish to consider how this relates to what the UK government is doing in your country. So people most times would include that. So in the introduction that we have here, we are seeing a central theme that Odera is interested in the next growth market in terms of Africa. How does Africa become the next growth market, right? And basically, how does Africa increase economic growth for businesses, right? And then she already has insight into a key policy that is already floating, even though in terms of implementation, it's not still being completely implemented. As the AFCTA agreement, like the AFTA agreement that's already been signed, right? And then she comes here, she introduces our stuff here, and then she says, upon completion of my master's degree, remember they're saying that what's your immediate plans when you return home? Upon completion of my master's degree, she says, I would return, right? So she's responding to the prompt, I would return to my previous employer, right? Something logistics as a growth product manager, right? Why is she returning and what is she going to do with the skills she's gotten? She says, I want to leverage my skills in international business so that I can scale the logistics, right, into 3 African countries by 2028. So that's basically short term. Even though this short term, she doesn't make any specific mention of in 3 to 5 years, in 1 to 3 years, in any of those things, right? But then she's marking these things out by saying upon completion of her master's, which means this is something that's going to happen immediately she gets back home, right? And that this is what she's trying to do. Then she then puts the subject matter of the team here again and says, I will leverage the AFCTA agreement, which aims to reduce trade barriers and increase the export cargo volumes. Some people can start from here, literally in their essay, right? Because it still contains the theme that she's trying to cut across. Some people can start from upon return, some people can start from here. It depends on what fits you best, right? And then she says, when we get into Kenya, Togo, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe, we would be doing research. How is she going to do research? She says she's going to be using the international business strategy module that she learned to critically assess, right, business competitors, impact culture, government regulations. The emphasis on government regulations, knowing fully well that AFCTA is focused on government regulations, right? So she's saying that she wants to attract potential customers and increase the presence of logistics abroad. So we have a complete goal. And back to what she said about the short-term goal or the mid-term goal and the long-term goal being specific, realistic, measurable, achievable, and all that. We see the number of countries, we see how she wants to do it, we see how she's going to leverage her skills, her master's skills, and then a previous network of relationships, right? So yeah, that's that. Odera, do you want to speak to the mid-term part and your love for Amazon?
It's really a lot for Amazon. So the second bit is really just, I feel like it's self-explanatory, but yeah. So I said after 2 years of working because I did not, that was me trying to say I'm done with this other part I'm talking about. So this is another in next phase of my life, and this is what I plan to do. One thing I searched for particularly was I did not just want to be a senior growth product manager. That's very generic. I wanted to focus on growth and marketing, right? Because previously I had been doing growth. Technically, if I was living this life, I'd have already been a growth product manager. It only makes sense that I'm going to continue in growth. I'm not saying it's impossible to deviate. You can always deviate because all these plans are not set in stone. But once again, make it logical. You want to carry your reader along so that it feels like, okay, this person is moving from here to here. I can see a connect between these two things. And I sort of spoke about why I chose Amazon, right? Because I'm guessing the reader might want to ask, like, but you need to help your country. Why are you going to Amazon? So, like, I wanted to highlight that these people are, they are very customer centric, and it's something that I relate with, and I want to help them in Africa, right, to build their customer base. And that's what the next paragraph then went to. And I once again highlighted my postgraduate degree skills. However, after 2 years, I can understand that even the skills that I've gained in my postgraduate may not even be as applicable. So if you're writing, you could say you will use your skills in your previous job, which you are sort of certain that you would learn, right, in your new role. And then for the long-term plan, I think I've sort of spoke about it and why I did what I did, or gave a rough sketch of what it was. So that Itofa has time and then can answer a couple of questions, I would hand over to him if that's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Please round of applause for Odera. And it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. You have no clue. On the spot. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm Chief Itofa. I think I'm just going to scroll to the session for the networking.
Yeah.
So
can you see my stuff? Yeah, you can see my stuff, right? Good.
Yep.
Okay, good. So so I told you guys, if you know you want to copy, please copy and just drink malt and know that you're not leaving Nigeria by when are they leaving? Next year, September, right?
We have people from other countries on the call.
Okay, good. Whatever country you are in, if you know you don't want to leave your country, please copy this, copy, paste it, take a screenshot. That's the recipe for not leaving your country. I think it's a lot easier, faster for me to just suppose the argument I've established early on with what I have here. So I removed all the names of these people I used to protect their identity. I've changed their organization and company so that we could I could read my essay to you. So so this is a prompt question: relationship building and shared learning. Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community. Listen to the word: strong professional relationship building skills. Do you have that? Who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. So the investment they are making on you so that you could go back to your country and do some disruptive work, right? Please explain how to build, please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity. That's your first question. Using clear examples of how you currently do this and outline how you use this skill, how you will use these skills in the future. So can you see the prompter now? So if you guys are writing, I met Janet in South Africa, we got married, we're applying to get married. Bro, you're already out of context. The questions, and let me just go, this stuff is really faint. It says, explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity. There's a comma there. So you need to put that at the back of your mind when you're establishing your points. How have I been building relational capacity? Using clear examples of how you currently do this and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. So you have 3 things you must answer. How do you build professional capacity? You send people message on LinkedIn. Does it stop there? Do you tell people, let's go and grab coffee together? Does it stop there? Do you say, oh, okay, we grab coffee, we talked about Arsenal, Manchester? Does it stop there? What exactly do you do with it? So what I established earlier when I was speaking during my session, by the way, Odera, that was fantastic. I can't do what you just did, so I'm just going to read. Is that you want to be able to show them that, look, if I get this opportunity, not if, when I get this opportunity, I'm able to convert this opportunity to viable and tangible results or products in Odera's language. I can convert a relationship to a viable product. Odera and I can collaborate and write a book, right? How can nonprofits pivot into using business design? Or I could meet Martin. Martin, let's write an ebook, for instance. Now, how can we infuse human-centered design in nonprofit management? And we've collaborated. We've done something incredible for the nonprofit community or nonprofit ecosystem. So that's how they want you to look, and they want you to approach it. So don't just write and say, oh, relationship. I met Chinedu in Africa. I met Sarah Jakes in London. I met Martins in China. Now we're good friends. We went to the same university. No, it wouldn't work, right? So I'm going to go through my essay and explain bit by bit. So having these 3 questions in mind, I said my first paragraph started, if you know you don't want to leave your country, please copy this, okay? As a high school student, I struggled with connecting with people. However, over the past 4 years, I have leveraged formal, informal, and online training to build my networking skill, which have led to some of the most outstanding results delineated below. Now, in context, these people have never met me before. They are just reading my essay for the first time. And there's 10,000 other people who are going to read other people's essay. I needed to put myself first. What I did here was a psychological phenomenon called the Pygmalion effect, right? Time will fail me to talk of Barack. All right, that's not good. All right, I'm just kidding with you guys. Second paragraph, in September 2019. Now, can you see what I'm doing? Case by case study. In September, date, time, I was a speaker at the Hive Africa Global Summit held in Lagos, Nigeria. At this event, I connected with Ox Timberland, who is the founder of Africa House. His work on advocating for inclusive governance and sustainable development in Africa was empowering 5,000 women across Africa with business trainings and seed grants. This piqued my interest. Therefore, I volunteered as a research developer in his team to contribute to the work they were leading. This earned me an opportunity to learn about grassroots and community development. My time at Africa House earned me a recommendation with UNICEF Nigeria, where I am going to be starting a new role on communication and media advocacy. At the time I was working with these guys. Again, I withheld the original name of the organization. At the time I was working with these guys, UNICEF had already reached out because we had done some work that got me some referral to UNICEF Nigeria. They had some open role for like a year that I got that media and advocacy role with UNICEF Nigeria. And you see what I did there? I met Ox Timberland. When I met him, I looked for a loophole where what was failing in his organization, or what did he have that I could contribute to, or what did he have that I could tap into or contribute to. His organization was working in the area or in the sector of providing business grants and seed and all that stuff to people. And I said, sir, can I work as a research developer for you guys? You guys are working on papers, white papers. I'm happy to work on this stuff for you. And I got into the team and did a few work for them, got results. In doing that, I got a deep understanding of how they provide micro grants to people in community. I got a hindsight into especially how marginalized women are, even till today, when it comes to providing business support for women. If you look at, I mean, Odera will probably have access to this information. Women are still disenfranchised when it comes to starting business. Like the CEO ratio, men and women. Odera, what is it like? We still have more men than women.
I said there's always more men than women.
Exactly. So, I learned all these things, grassroots. Now, see what I did in this paper, guys. See what I did here. I first of all established the community, the organization. I told them what I did for them, and I told them what I learned in doing what I did for them, and I told them the outcome to prove to them that, look, I'm not just a liability. If I come into your space, I disrupt your space, add value, and you can't but help or recommend me to somebody else. Just like some of you are listening to me, it's like, man, I need to connect to this guy. Yes, he's that powerful. We are disruptors, right? Now let's go to the second paragraph. Now, the second paragraph, in November 2020, I attended a virtual leadership workshop led by Sarah James. After the event, I wrote to Sarah James' company, Gemini Leadership Institute, requesting to volunteer in the public relations and communications team, where I helped in designing content calendars for social media, right? There, I grew in the ranks and became a trainer at the institute, teaching social entrepreneurship and sustainability to 150 social entrepreneurs. My relationship has continued to blossom with Sarah Jane till date. If you see the divergence I took from the first one with the second one, I showed them that, look, I am a person who is very effective. And when I come into a team or I meet somebody, you can't but help but promote me to the next level, right? The first one, I show them that, yes, I come in, I identify solutions, I prefer that solutions, I provide assets, I learn on the job. The second one, I was showing them that, look, with this company, I came in as a volunteer, but from a volunteer, I grew into a trainer, which is a huge deal. Working with 150 people, that's a huge deal, right? Now, I didn't tell them what I learned. You see, I didn't put what I learned. However, I made them understand that even till date, my relationship still continues to blossom with the CEO of the company, meaning if they need my service at any time, they can reach out to me and we could continue working together, right? The last paragraph, or the third paragraph. In September 2021, I connected with James through his human rights work in South Africa. At the time of connection, he was pursuing his master's in international development at the University of Stellenbosch, South Africa. Our connection was established on the keen interest we both have for policy development and humanitarian aid. In March 2022, my organization, Church on the Street International, launched a crowdfunding campaign called Water for Life to raise $20,000. The campaign was to create awareness about the water crisis. 15,362 families were suffering in a village called Agatu, Benue State, Nigeria. James partnered with Church on the Street International and gave us access to his network. He organized a virtual fundraising campaign that created awareness to his 1,714 followers on Instagram and raised our first $1,000 to end the water crisis in the village in Benue State, Nigeria. You see what I did here? This was the longest paragraph I had. However, what I did was to let them know that I also have a knack for problem solving. I identify loopholes. I meet somebody, I identify loopholes. I find our connecting thread, broker that thread to ensure that it grows and nurtures, and find common interests. So Jones James, for instance, I was working in the area of human rights, but he was not in Nigeria. I was in South Africa. I was in Nigeria doing the work. I said, my bro, how can we work together? We're trying to, provide access to clean water for this community in Benue State. Our goal is $20,000. How can we come together to do something? So, oh, really? This is something I also have a keen interest on. What can we do? And he joined us to do a virtual fundraiser, and we raised our first $1,000 out of the $20,000 for the fundraising campaign. All these things I said, they are true stories, they are not lies. So if you go and lie and tell a lie, my brother, my sister, ensure you've cooked some nice jollof rice in your house that you're going to go back to eat, because you're going nowhere, So tell humanistic stories, right? You see, I'm adding a little bit of humor. Abdulhamid, are you tired already? The way you're sitting down, you tell humanistic stories that are real time. Don't lie. If it's only two people you don't say we did 200,000. Chevening isn't impressed because you did 200,000, because they can read in between the lines. So if it's only two people you worked with, it's only two people I work with, right? I'll tell you guys a story. So when I got into the interview, by the grace of God, this got me through to the interview stage. When I got into the interview stage, I got into the room. Apparently, I don't know if this happened for you, Odera and Martins, but they had done a background check already. So the lady said, "Oh, welcome, Itofa, yada, 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 yada." And then the next thing was, "Oh, tell us about the work you're doing in Benue State." Where did you people read that I was doing something in Benue State? Apparently, your digital footprint is so important, right? So if you work in the area that I work in, which is like humanitarian aid and international development, like it's good to have a good digital footprint. They had already done some research, and so they wanted to find a place to tackle me. But as a Nigerian guy from Edo, filled with the Holy Ghost, I mean, you can't tie us down. So everywhere they came, I said, "Madam, you know where we're going to? We're going to England, So when they came here, I was like, really, I really love that. So let's say the lady's name was Janet. I'm telling these stories because some of you will not remember what I said, but these stories will help you remember. The lady said, "Itofa, you've done something in Benue State. So tell us what's the vision for that, and how does that connect to the Chevening Scholarship?" I said, "Janet, the Benue project. Do you know that families in Benue State as we speak today are suffering and are dying? Women are being raped, women are being abused, their children were out of school. If you people don't pick me today, those children will suffer. The reason why you need to pick me is because I am a viable candidate." And I went on and on and on and on and on. And her eyes became watery. She became very emotional. Tears were about to come. I'm not lying to you guys. Tears were about to come out from my eyes. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this to say that it's not the numbers that impress anybody. It's the truth, your preparedness, and how clear your vision is that will determine if you're going to get selected, right? So last paragraph says, "I plan to bring these values to the Chevening Scholars Network by actively serving and participating in Chevening events," which I have done. The Chevening network of over 50,000 alumni will give me once in a lifetime opportunity to connect, collaborate, and share knowledge on development issues. I plan to actively participate in events and also volunteer to give back to the community, like the recent Cardiff tree planting, Trees for Cities, where I will have the opportunity to work with Cardiff City Council to plant young trees in local parks, and the SDG literacy drive, yada yada yada, when I go back to Nigeria. Long story short, basically I ended up my stuff by saying, "Look, I'm going to partner with my scholars. What we're doing now is collaboration. If you guys are supposed to pay for this, at least $100 each, Martins, that's like $600 or $6,000 would have raised tonight. So we'll be balling when we come to Nigeria. We'll just be, when you pick us up from the airport, just bring, So at the end of the day, with all the humor and all the laughter and everything that I've said, the heart of what I'm trying to communicate across with everybody on all these days, the recipe for winning Chevening is, number one, you must have the mindset of a global scholar. If you're on this call, you're having inferiority complex, you need to work on that because it will not, you can't get it like that. Number two, applied knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. You must be able to, you see how Odera was speaking. Odera, I was going to say, look, I'm so happy I have your number because when these millions start coming in and I need to diversify my portfolio, I'll just text you up. I'll just text you up because if you don't have technical knowledge, nobody is going to pay attention to you. So please have that, right? Don't have the aspire to aspire knowledge. Real knowledge, you know this thing, you know the source where it's coming from, not dubbing. Oh, Itofa said this, I said, you know this stuff, right? That's number three. And then number four, you need confidence. With these things I've said to you, see you in Heathrow and whatever country you're going to be, whatever part of the UK you're going to be studying. The Lord is your helper. Thank you very much.
I had to really open my mic. That was really good. Well done.
Hey.
As in,
That's all I can say.
I feel like I've been schooled. Like they sat me and said, Odera, confidence. Okay, what's next, Martins?
Yeah, so I think at this point, we're going to take questions. Let's cap it at, we could take questions for the next 10 minutes, right? Then we can make announcements. So please, if you have questions, raise your hands before Sato or Ifechi comes up with the assignment for the week.
Yeah, can I quickly say something? Something, I don't know if you've already said it during the bootcamp with them, is...
Your voice disappeared.
Can you hear me?
Yes, better now.
Okay, so something that Itofa did was, when he spoke about the money, he put it in dollars. Sometimes I read people's essay and they raised 1 million naira. And I asked the person, what is 1 million Zen? Do you know the value? If I say 1 million Zen, do you know what does it mean anything to you? It doesn't. So always try to if you have any monetary value, try and put it in either pounds or dollars because they are more familiar. They can understand what 10,000 pounds or $10,000 is. So always try to do that. Second thing I try to do is contextualize. Zainab, your mic is unmuted. Could you mute it, please? Thank you. So another thing is try to contextualize whatever you are sharing with people. Understand that they don't share the same experience as you do, right? For instance, I've never been to Abuja, but when my brother went to Abuja and he said he was in a particular place, no matter how much he told me about it, I just could not understand. And I told him, so what's that place? So if you have to relate it to Lagos, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And he told me, it's like Ikoyin. Just because he related to something that I'm familiar with, I was able to connect with his story. So when you're mentioning things, don't expect that a reader... I see some people put abbreviations because you feel like everybody knows NYSC. They don't know NYSC here. NYSC is not global, it's national. Your reader does not know it. Put context to things as much as you can, right? Even if you are working for an organization, even if it's like 5 words of, this organization is a humanitarian-based organization, so that the readers can sort of understand, okay, so this is what this organization does, not just I work for this organization, right? Just try to contextualize what I'm trying to say. Yeah, open for questions. We don't have so much time. Martins, I was supposed to call them, Abi, you are calling them for us. You are muted just in case you are speaking. Itofa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I think maybe he got cut off. So let's just take the questions now. So I don't know what the questions, what the formalities or the questions would be like.
Yeah, and we need to know.
Hi, Itofa. Hi, Odera. Thank you so much for this session. So we have 3 hands raised, and I'll just call it the way it appears on my screen. Yusuf Nasir, I think you can go ahead with your question. Yusuf Nasir.
Right, thank you very much. Please, am I audible? Can you turn on?
It's manageable. But,
Okay.
Yusuf, you can go
So
ahead. It's manageable.
all right. So
I can't hear
I
anything you're
thank you
saying
very
though.
much for this one. Basically, and then the first question is with respect to
I
the
can't hear
particular
Yusuf.
career
Can
plan.
anyone hear Yusuf?
Yusuf, we can't hear you. Probably you should
Yusuf, we
type.
can't hear you. Please, you
Yusuf,
could
could you
type.
just type it? Could you type it?
Just
Yeah,
type.
you could type. Or the near Andrew or something. Andrew.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Am I
Sorry, can you
audible?
hear me now? I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Yusuf.
All right, thank you. So, I have two questions. One is for the career plan AC, and the other one is for the networking AC. So, I wanted to ask regarding the career plan AC. There was this particular Chevening document that I was actually going through. So, in terms of the, the three-term plans that you have, both the midterm, he says, okay, you could actually discuss the fact that maybe you're probably going back to your workplace after, and how that particular. So, but in the long run, the final long-term goal, that's where I am actually a kind of confused. So, because it seems like you are actually interested or supposed to make mention of a particular leadership position you may likely occupy when you return to your country. So, I want to know how a kind of realistic, that assertion is. So, for the networking AC, I appreciate the fact that Mr. Ibra is actually saying the fact that everything that you actually have to mention in that particular networking AC has to be very, very true and genuine. So there was this experience that I had probably when I was back in the universities. I had this opportunity to lead my association, and I did a lot of networking activities that actually yield to positive results. So, how can somebody kind of tell that particular story using his previous example? Must it be something that is actually related to Chevening, or it can be any other particular experience that you had along the way that you can tailor it along this line? Thank you.
Do we answer immediately or we could take on? Okay, let me quickly answer. So in term, I think you asked about the long-term plan that you've heard or whatever the document you read says that you have to occupy a leadership position. Technically speaking, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, I do expect that everybody on this call will be a leader in some way, shape, or form, right? So I think what you need to make sure you are doing is that the leadership position that you decide to occupy may just be leadership position, may be a role in a company. It does not necessarily mean that you have to be the governor, president, senator. It doesn't have to be a governmental institution or anything along that line. It just has to be a position that places you at a point maybe where you can make very impactful decisions, right? There's a level you get in your life or in your career that kind of decisions you're making is moving mountains, right? Or is shaping culture, right? I guess that's what they meant by leadership position. Yeah.
So for the networking part that you asked, what I'm going to say is that um everything is how do they even speak this language in economics? We say it's sufficient but not necessary. It's necessary but not sufficient either ways. What I'll say to you is, how does your leadership experience or the networking events you spoke about in university, how does it connect to where you're going to? If you were a leader on campus and you brought facilitators to organize conference or workshops, are you going to learn something about project management or program management in your career? You must find a way to marry it. So if you can find the connecting dots for both of them, go ahead to use it. But if you can't find it, please don't use it, right? The fact that you met the CBN governor and you're not going to do anything in finance is not useful. So yeah.
Okay, I think we'll then call on Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew,
Good
then
evening,
Miracle,
everyone.
then
Am
Mohammed. Yeah.
I audible?
Yes.
All right. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. So I just want to thank Odera and Itofa for this opportunity to listen to the two of you. I've actually learned a lot. And so my question is with respect to the networking essays, using the examples that Itofa gave. So I just want to know, how best should someone present networking essays, especially because if you have done something in the past, let's say for the past 4 to 5 years, and you want to bring it into, this current application, would you advise for someone to use experiences that have, from the past 4 to 5 years to include it in the Chevening essay. Speaking to the fact that, it is recommended that you should use your recent experiences. So if I have up to two, let's say I have just two examples that I want to give, for my networking essay. Let's say I use an experience I had in 2023, and then I want to use an experience I had in 2020, for example. Would you advise for someone to use that kind of, flow or example, or should I stick to recent experiences that I have? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Well, it was not. Let me read the prompt again. I don't know whether it was said that. So it says, explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity, using clear examples of how you currently do this and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. First, let me establish networking is not. It's not, because I feel like you guys think it's about meeting people. It's about converting. When you meet people, how you converted that meeting into something, a result that is connected to your career. That's what they are looking for. So does it have to be recent? Well, you can't bring something in 2003 or 2000, right? Like, let's say from anything that happens from like 2019 down would actually suffice. But going to like 2006, 2005 is not really relevant, except it's really heavy and it connects to, let's say you wrote a book, right? And the person who wrote the forward of the book wrote the forward in the book in 2005. There's a way I can say, oh, I authored a book in 2000 and let's say in 2017 I wrote a book, right? And the forward was by Professor Mohammed Yunus, and I met Professor Mohammed Yunus at a conference in Nairobi, and that connection led to this deep research and the establishment of this book. You can see that it's connected, and now because of this book that we wrote together, I'm going to do a master's in this field. So the fact that it was in 2017 doesn't discard it, but I'll try to be careful because it's a gray area. There's no hardcore black and white that says, okay, it has to be, but just ensure that the networking you are putting on the table, you can connect it to the course you are going to study, right? That's what I want everybody to remember. So how recent should it be? There is no hard or soft rule, but I would just advise, please don't go beyond 2019. I would just advise. That's my thought. It may be wrong, but that's what I would advise. Odera, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I also wanted to add, like, so I do have a friend that used a not so recent example. Now she was able to scale to the interview stage, but I think when she got to the interview stage, she didn't get it, and she asked for a reason why she didn't get it, and he told her that when she was being interviewed, they needed recent examples of her stories anyway, like more recent things that you have done, right? And she couldn't give that. She kept referring to the old examples. So she just felt like if that's the only thing you've done, then you may not be as reliable. Like, can you still transfer those skills from the past? So use the most recent examples that you can get that connect to your studies, right? Don't go to 2000 and use an example in 2000. It may not do you justice compared to your mates on, yeah.
All right. There is a question in the chat box. The question particularly says, regarding supporting an existing UK project, I think this is very career related. Regarding supporting an existing UK project, do you have to say you will work with them? Currently, I don't know how I can work with them.
So I would say no, you don't have to say you work with them. I personally I wanted to work with them because I liked what the sub projects they were doing at that time. It related to what I was interested in, and for me, I did not plan to start another project by myself when they were already doing something. I'm like, I'll just volunteer for them. So it was more of, when I said work, sorry, it was more of voluntary work, not like I want to submit my CV, they will employ me and I'll start working with them. Not like it's a bad thing, but that was not my goal. It was supposed to be that I'm doing the thing that I really want to do, but I can still help them from a voluntary capacity. That's what I tried to highlight. So no, you don't have to work with them.
Itofa, you raised your hand.
Yes. So for me, what I did was I actually said I was going to work with them. So when I was writing my application, I researched and I realized that the UK government had a project called PDF2 project. It's called the Policy Development Phase project, where they had invested about £16.4 million in Nigeria. The goal was to tackle poverty in Nigeria at that time. So I said, When I come back to Nigeria, my midterm goal is I'm going to apply as a policy development advisor and work with the presidency in ensuring judicious and sustainable disbursement of these funds, in ensuring that it gets to the right people and we tackle corruption. However, in order for me to get to this level, I need to get this master's, number one. When I go back to Nigeria, I'm going to work at the grassroots level to educate people on some of the recent skills I've just adapted. And I would apply to the Lagos Business School and work as a part-time lecturer on non-profit management and leadership. Now, having accrued all this stuff in my short-term goal, it will equip me to be able to work with the UK aid project that they had invested in Nigeria. So I mean, when I go back to Nigeria, I'm not applying for that role. I'm not working with them on that role, right? But it just shows you that, number one, you've done your research. They'll just be nodding their head. Wow, this guy is sound. Good. That's what you want to put on the table. So you necessarily don't have to work with them, but you can put it in there that just to show that you've done your groundwork. So you're applying for something in education. Is there any funding from the UK government that is coming into education in Nigeria right now? Right? You're working in healthcare, you're applying for healthcare. Is there any money coming from the UK? There's tons of money probably coming in. Okay, when I come back, I want to bring some of these skills I've done to see how we could ensure that these parameters work in this area.
Okay. We have 4 more minutes. Do we take more questions or do we wrap up? Some hands are still raised. Itofa and Odera, do you guys want to stay a bit longer?
Yeah, that's fine with me, but please just these 3 questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, me.
Okay, so let's take questions. So guys, we have Esther, we have Akwayemi, but let's go with Miracle. Miracle's hand in the race for a while. Miracle and Mohammed.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much, Odera and Itofa. Oh my God, my brain is popping right now. But I know you've almost answered the question of trying to establish a connection that is more recent. But because I'm a healthcare worker as an optometrist, in my drafts, I kind of, try to establish a relationship with a senior colleague who has, kind of influenced my trajectory in the area of public health and is, has also been instrumental to my, current career. She actually recommended me in the job I am working presently. However, I met her in 2014. So I'm trying to establish, is that a no-no? Because it's still an ongoing relationship, and I also try to tie my current experience from that initial meeting with her to other connections that I've been inspired to engage in and forge. So I don't know, does that make sense, or is it a little weird?
First question I want to ask you, it's Ahmad File, yeah? Ahmad File, right?
Yes.
What university are you applying to?
Okay, so the first choice I'm looking at
just
is,
tell me the university you really want to go to that you're
okay, is LS, that's the London School of Hygiene and Tropical.
All right, see you in London School of Tropical Medicine, and because you've gotten it already, I sense it, you've gotten it already. That's
Amen.
Perfect. Yes, it works. It works. Because for you to tie that to date, it works already. So see you in London School of Tropical Medicine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, we have Mohammed. Mohammed. Or Esther.
So hi guys. I just want
your
to
voice is
ask.
faint.
Can you hear me?
Esther, your voice is very faint. Can you be louder?
Okay, I just want to ask if I happen to make it to the interview, are these people going to ask me what I wrote in my essays?
Yes,
Okay.
they will ask you something similar to what you wrote.
Sorry?
They'll ask you about what you wrote because they will have more questions. Your 500 words is not everything that happened. So they'll poke holes, they'll look for where there are gaps, and they'll ask you questions about it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So another thing that also happened in my case was that I had an example of leadership that was within professional, like my professional workspace. And then the guy that was interviewing me says, "Oh, I need a non-professional example." That caught me off guard because I had all the professional examples in my life. And then I had to literally check my head in a few seconds and I got another one outside. So you may have a variant of the question. So I'm just saying prepare for the unexpected. But most times it is really your essay questions that they ask you. That's where they get questions from you.
All right. Since we cannot hear Mohammed,
I might use the
Yeah,
church experience from church.
good
That's what I
evening.
shared.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Muhammad. I'm from Jigawa State. So I was among those that were interviewed in March and was not successful. So my own question here is that please can I, even though I know I have to make some changes to my application because I've started making the changes on the leadership aspect and I'm going to change the entire study plan. And I think I'm going to select one course in 3 different universities. So I would like to have some advice on my question. Thank you so much.
I didn't really get
your
the
question is
question.
completely unclear.
What's your question exactly?
Okay, sorry. I said last year I applied for the Chevening application and was called for interview. So I wasn't successful during the interview. What I'm asking now is, can I change most of my essay content and leave some, or and also in selecting the universities, because last time I selected 3 universities with 3 different courses. So do you think selecting 3 universities with different courses or selecting the same courses in 3 universities, which of them is more important and which of them does Chevening looks at?
I remember my brother, straight to the point. The course you want to apply for, they have to all be connected and in 3 different universities. So you can't do different courses in you won't even get feedback. So the same course, but it may not be the same expression, like international development and policy, international development and management, but it has international development in 3 different universities. That's how it works. So yeah.
Yeah, I think he also asked about like rewriting his essays. It is advisable to sort of at least tweak a lot of things within your essays because it goes through a machine first before it gets to individual. So technically your previous essays have already been marked as within the system. If you send them again without changing anything, it would mark you as like a fake or a copy rather, as a fake a copy. Yeah.
Okay.
Marcus,
I think
yeah,
Andrew's hand is raised. Last question.
last question, please. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the fantastic session, Dr. Itofa Odera and Ms. Odera Akbata. So my question basically is, so we've talked about how to, basically all of the examples that were given are basically about how you build the relationship and how that contributes to how you contribute to the relationship and also how you sustain that relationship. So my question is basically about, would it be okay to mention instances where you facilitated relationship building amongst individuals that are working on a similar project, some sort of conversations around that? Would that be safe to mention, and also to mention the impact that that kind of activity has created in the different people that connected and you connected or some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. Like that would so let's say um I met Andrew at the airport in Abuja, and I connected Andrew. Andrew works in the area of building young people, providing resources for African youth to empower them as young people. And by reason of that, he provided some sort of mentorship and connected somebody to Odera. Odera works in business, international business, and that relationship led to the person who he connected to Odera building this software that now works with 10,000 people now use this software. As by reason of that connection, this has added XYZ to the organization. So at the end of the day, when you've established your results, you want to still draw it back to yourself, right? Don't just say, oh, they connected them, they built a software. The software is helping young people across Africa. So what is the interface or the interplay between you and the software? So I would rather say that the software has been established now, and now that software is provided to every single person who works in my organization or who are partners. We go a bit further Africa, for instance, now they have that software for free because of that connection that I made. As a result, now they have access to free internet, do XYZ. I don't know if you could get my drift, but that's the angle you want to be able to bring the stuff in. But it works.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Odera is waiting for us to close this meeting. Like, passionately waiting. She can't just wait for us to say a good night for us before she disappears. Oh, please, can we give it up for the scholars who have taken out 2 hours, 30 minutes of their time to be here with you on a Sunday when they could be working on their thesis or working on disrupting systems and mass destruction things. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining this session. So I'm just going to quickly share some information and then we'll close the session and take a screenshot. First, information is right on the screen. There is a class code up on your screen for today's class, IF009. IF009. You can type what you want to say to about their skin in the chat box. IF009 is right there. That's the class code. Please don't drop it on the WhatsApp group, and you know why that is. So we've come to the end of all the instructive sessions and all the live writing sessions for our bootcamp. Our bootcamp has just 1 more week to go, and we would be sharing the things we will be working through now. Okay, like you already have seen, we basically have to, if you've not created a Chevening application profile this week, please create your profile on the Chevening website. And also this week, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to check up what the UK government is doing in your country and in your sector. Then this week, we're beginning essay reviews this week. And then our sessions for section 6 and 7 coming weekend, section 6 and 7 for the coming weekend is going to be live essay review sessions. Live essay review sessions. So we're going to be reviewing essays on the call with Chevening scholars. They're going to be giving you live feedback. So you're going to have like people volunteer to have their essays reviewed. They're going to go over your essays. We're going to cut out right things, brutally give you feedback. Some people are going to cry. Some people are going to exit, that kind of thing is going to happen, right? So overall, what have we been trying to communicate to you since we started? We've basically been saying, number one, for all your 4 essays, you're supposed to have an overarching theme. Can we hear me? Great. Great. You're supposed to have an overarching theme, which is basically the problem you're trying to solve, right? You're supposed to have core skills that you are demonstrating, your leadership, your influencing skills, or relationship building skills. You're supposed to demonstrate in your essays a clear plan and depth of research throughout the 4 essays. They are all connected. See your essay as one big essay with 4 parts is what we've been telling you. all of the logical coherence, all of the thoughtfulness that you're putting inside, all of the precision and the crisp nature of your language should all be demonstrated in how you write, right? And then this week, please write out the last 2 drafts of your essays. Osatone Ifechi will let you know when to submit this, and then we'll begin our live reviews over the weekend. And then your essays will be shared with scholars or put in their comments, and then you get your feedback. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. I see that there are 2 hands that are raised. Tolu and Andrew, your hands are raised still, or is that something from the past 5 minutes?
I wanted to just really say that Mr. Martins.
Your voice is faint, very faint.
Okay, I wanted to say that Mr. Martins, you have done fantastic, so much, so that I'm really excited about the experience so far. The facilitators that you've brought has made it very engaging and interesting, such that you cannot even drop your phone and try to do something else. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much, Andrew, my G. It was great that you enjoyed the experience. Tolu's hands were still raised. Tolu, was it a mistake? Oh, okay, yeah, that's in the chat box. So guys, remember the attendance. Remember to appreciate. Can we just get someone to give a vote of thanks to our amazing speakers, Odera Akpata and Itofa Odera, right? You can unmute your mic and give a vote of thanks to them.
I want to say a big thank you to our amazing speakers. I mean, it's not easy what you guys have done here tonight. I'm inspired, and I know a lot of us are fired up much, much more. I was feeling like an Olodo, but you said we should drop the inferiority complex. So thank you so much. I'm fired up to do more. God bless you for your time, for the way you're, putting out the knowledge unreservedly. So I really want to say big thank you to you guys. God bless you, and God bless the entire Global Wins team. Thank you.
Okay, this is where I turn off my screen, and then we put on our cameras, and you see Odera's amazing face, Itofa's amazing face, all faces. So if you're in a convenient place and you can turn on your camera, let's do a screenshot marking the end of our instructional sessions. Waiting for cameras to come up in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 to 10, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 10,
I don't know why my camera is not working.
Your camera does not want you to come up. So I'll wait for 1 more minute, guys.
My camera.
Your camera is angry with you for some reason. Okay. All right, I'm going to take the screenshot now, guys. For those who are here. Where is it so far? Has it dropped off? Okay. At the count of 3, 1, 2. Adra, you're literally the only person on my screen, so I'm going to take it again. I'm going to ping you from my screen. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 again. All right. Now hold it. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and doing this. Oh, sorry that you have malaria. Get well soon, Tolu. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Success in your writing.